Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the video where I rank every episode of Season 1 of The Haunting Hour. Now, a couple of little caveats before we start. One, this video is purely my own opinion. If you don't agree, that's absolutely fine. I think I know from looking at the comments that some of my opinions are going to be very different to yours anyway. There's episodes that I really like that other people don't, and vice versa. And that's fine, so just leave me some comments down below and let me know either your whole ranking, or if you don't want to do that, maybe put in your least favourite few, your most favourite few, and we can have a discussion about that because, you know, we've all got a different opinion and that's absolutely fine. Second thing, I put the two parters together as one episode, so it'll be Scary Mary will be one episode and Really You Part 1 and Part 2 will be one episode, purely because I found them really hard to differentiate between the two. Scary Mary, not as much, because I think episode 1 was so different to 2, but with Really You, it's been months since I watched it. I can't really remember what happened in 1 versus 2, so I thought it was easier just to put them together as one episode, and it makes more sense to rank them as a whole package anyway, so that means I'll be ranking things from 20 to 1. And thirdly, I just want to say that I found this really difficult to rank. There was an episode that I knew would be my bottom one, and there's quite a few that I knew would be right at the top, but kind of there's like a 10, 12 in the middle, maybe more, that were just like, they're all really good. They're all good episodes. I like them all for certain reasons. I've got good things and bad things to say about all of them, but I found them really hard to rank. So my opinion's going to change every time I look at this list. It changed when I was ranking them. It'll change when I edit them. So I did my best, and this is my ranking as of today. So let's jump into the ranking. If you leave some comments down below, let me know what you thought, and let's start with the least favourite episode of Season 1. Okay, in 20th place, I have put Best Friend Forever. Even with this episode, it's my least favourite of the season, but there's parts that I like. So I like some of the characters, the side characters, like there was the teacher and the girl that had quite a funny relationship. But on the most part, I just didn't really take to this episode. I didn't really buy into a lot of the plot lines, a lot of the comedy. There were some leaps in logic, which are fine for some elements of TV shows for kids, but there was too many for me to really get on board with, and I just didn't really love the storyline. It was quite lighthearted, it was quite easy to watch, but I didn't really care about the zombie storyline and him trying to take care of the zombies that was going around the school. I didn't believe he would have acted the way he acted a lot of the times. And the big twist at the end with the mum zombie didn't make sense to me. I know people like it. It is quite an easy episode to watch. It can be quite funny. It was just my least favourite of the season. And it's a shame because I really like Nolan Gould as an actor, but it's an episode that I don't think I'll be jumping to rewatch anytime soon. Next up is The Red Dress. Like a lot of episodes that are coming up, there's things that I like about this episode, so I found it really hard to rank them. Other than Best Friend Forever, which I knew was my least favourite, the next bunch were ones that I thought were okay, but weren't my favourite and was a really struggle. So The Red Dress was a fun story about the girl who stole the dress, but I think why it comes near the bottom of the list for me is that it wasn't particularly an exciting episode, the characters weren't particularly likeable, and whilst I liked the witch, and I felt like the episode had a good message, the ending was quite dark when she made the girl go blind just for stealing a dress. That was a bit harsh. Yes, she deserved some comeuppance, but that comeuppance was a bit harsh. But it was fun, it was enjoyable, it just wasn't the most exciting episode. That's why I put The Red Dress in 19th place. Okay, in 18th place, I've gone for Walls. I don't know how popular this episode is, so I don't know if this is a controversial opinion or not, but whilst I thought the episode had a good premise, you move into a new house, there's a monster in the walls, that could be quite cool, and there were some semi-creepy moments. Once we got to meet the monster, I felt like a lot of that creepiness went away, and it was this kind of annoying, more, sugar, sweet, whatever it was saying, monster that was kind of irritating to watch. And I really dislike the parents in this episode because, to me, if you're going to move into a house purely for the sole reason that that house has a demon in the walls, is going to give you good luck, would you not warn your kids about it first? Because when your kid finds out, he's going to cause trouble, like he did. And obviously he ended up getting the better part of the situation than the parents did, because they didn't really know what they were buying into. Didn't like the parents, didn't like the twist that much, didn't really like the demon. He was kind of annoying once we found out what he was. But the main kid was funny, his friend was funny, and the ending was quite a good little... Whilst I didn't like the parent twist, I liked the fact that the kid got out on top. But yeah, this episode for me was kind of irritating on the most part, but had some good creepy moments near the start. Okay, next up in 17th place, a bit of a surprise for me when I did my ranking, because I thought this one was going to be a bit higher, but I put Lights Out. I like found footage movies, like I said, I like haunted house asylums, but upon reflection, this episode didn't really add a lot to the genre. I didn't really do a lot with its premise. It was very generic a lot of the time, and they could have done more with it, but a lot of it was... It didn't really build up to a climax particularly. Like, whilst there was some creepy moments, like the ghosts in the waiting room and the cuckoo clock went off and they were started to get really scared and disappeared, that was cool. And there was a couple of creepy moments with the doctor. It didn't really do anything to go anywhere. Whilst at the time when I watched it, I liked that it was part of a cycle where we saw them at the start, watch a horror movie or horror TV show. They were like, I can do better. They went out, did their own. It didn't end well. And there was someone else that watched it saying, oh, I can do better. So it was part of like an ongoing cycle, which was kind of cool at the time. But upon reflection, it was a bit of a shame that they didn't really solve anything. These kids just went to a really horrific end by the sounds of it. And it was good, but it wasn't great. It could have done more with its premise. And the kids were okay to watch. But I think upon watching it back, it wasn't as exciting or as scary as I thought it was in the first place. Some good creepy moments, but overall, probably not as strong as I thought it was the first time I watched it. Okay, next up, another surprise for me, I went for Game Over. Now, whilst I really like the premise of we're being sucked into a computer game and there was levels and health bars and weapon selections, again, that premise kind of blinded me to the fact that the episode wasn't that good, I don't think. The zombie stuff was fine, the side characters were okay, but they were kind of forgettable. When I was doing my ranking, I was writing all these episodes down on post-it notes to put in a certain order. There was a few that I kept forgetting because I was trying to remember them by heart. And Game Over was one that I kept forgetting to write down. And that to me says a lot that I don't remember much of the episode. That the game premise was good, but the bad guy was kind of forgettable. The main characters were forgettable. But the premise was quite cool. And I think if they'd have done something a bit more exciting with it, the version of them playing through a game was a really cool idea. So for me, I just wish they'd taken that premise and ramped it up and put a really strong boss at the end of it. Because the boss was that dude that they all took down without really any sort of issues. It was a good idea, but it wasn't well executed for me. In 15th place, I have put Ghostly Stare. I think I would have put this higher, but my problem with this episode is whilst it had some really good creepy moments, and I like the idea of the storyline that you fall into a grave, that ghost takes over your body, you have until sunrise to sort that out, or the ghost is in there permanently. Good idea, and it has some really creepy moments in the graveyard where the ghosts were chasing after the kids. But for me, there was some plot holes along the way that I couldn't really get on board with, and that really tainted it a little bit. This episode really did feel like an R.L. Stein episode. It felt like something I would read in Ghost of Fear Street. It kind of reminded me of one called Who's Been Sleeping in My Grave. I've not read that for about 20 years, but I did get vibes of that, and it did feel like a good R.L. Stein episode. I guess for me, as an adult watching it, some of the plot holes were just a little too much, and I didn't fully understand some of the rules here, like why one thing could happen with one character, but it couldn't with another character. But it was good, and some of the scares were really good. They should have ramped it up to 100, but the nurse ghost was really cool to watch, and there were some good, really creepy moments in this episode. Next up, I've chosen My Sister, the Witch. Not a scary episode at all, really. There were some moments where it could have been kind of creepy, sneaking out to see your sister doing a witchy ritual in the woods, and some other little moments with the spells, like the parents freezing. As a kid, I could probably find that kind of creepy. And the idea that someone in your house is the one that's behind it all, your sister that's been going away, she's come back as this witch from a special school. Creepy idea. It didn't really go anywhere. The villain at the end of it was not the sister, obviously. I didn't really buy into. I didn't really like watching them. I thought they were a bit too campy for the episode. But the best friend was quite a fun character. The main guy was a fun character. I liked the spells. I liked the mystery of the sister. And again, another R.L. Stein trope with someone in my house might be evil, let's investigate and find things that make us think, oh yeah, they are evil, but it turns out that they're not that, they're actually trying to help all along. It was very R.L. Stein. I quite enjoyed it. There were some good funny moments. I like the main actress. I guess the payoff at the end made the episode a little bit lower down for me because I didn't really care about the bad guy, and like I say, he was quite campy, quite over the top, just defeated really easily, and just didn't fit in with the tone of the rest of the episode. But My Sister Witch was a pretty enjoyable episode all round. So number 13, this is where we get to the moment where I don't really know what your opinions are. Because what I realised when I was recording the episodes and putting them out on YouTube is I was paying a lot of attention to the comments, and it was swaying my opinion of what I liked and what I didn't. So I recorded quite a lot in advance with a lot of the episodes. So this episode, I haven't even gone live yet, so I don't know your opinion, because I wanted to be as fresh as I could with my own opinion on the ranking. So for 13th place, I've gone for Pool Shark. I could see people not liking this because it was a bit predictable, I suppose, for me, but I quite liked the episode. I liked the swimming pool setting. I liked the main character. I thought Boo Boo Stewart, I think his name is, was a quite good actor, quite bought into his trauma. The bad guy, the bully, whilst he was annoying, he was played really well, so I did like the actor for that. And I guess I'm a bit biased a little bit because sharks, underwater stuff really freak me out. so I was biased by the scary stuff here. If you're not into that kind of stuff, maybe the episode wasn't that creepy. The actual twist with the Hawaiian legend, I kind of liked, kind of didn't, but I really enjoyed the setting, the contained setting, and most of it was taking place inside this swimming pool. I did get on board, like I said, with the main character's fear of these sharks. I have a major fear of sharks myself. The twist at the end could have been a good twist if it was done right, but what I didn't like about it was the girl, the fact that she jumped straight on board with the twist. She was okay with it straight away, which I don't think was realistic. I'd have been a little bit freaked out if this guy fancied turned into a shark, but I liked the episode. I had some good times with it. I liked the scary parts. I liked the characters all around, really. I just didn't really like the ending so much, but I thought it was quite an enjoyable episode for me, and it's had some good creepy moments with my fears in particular. Okay, 12th place, I've got episode 5, Nightmare Inn. This was an episode when I watched it at the time. I didn't love it so much, but I think that was because I really enjoyed the first 4, which obviously none of them have come up yet, so they're clearly higher on my list. But upon reflection, watching it back when it edited, I actually quite a good time with it, and I like the mystery of what's going on at this inn, what's these visions all about, why is there some creepy stuff going on here. The girl at the inn seems to be friendly, but has some stuff going on. The boy, the cute boy that she meets, which I'm biased because he's in the 100 and I love his character in the 100. He's probably one of my favourite characters in the 100, so I'm biased when he showed up. But what's he all about? Because he seems to be friendly with her, but the woman's like, stay away. Should I trust? Who should I not trust? Turns out both of them were trying to get after her to make her into, was it a werewolf? And the twist with the dad was pretty cool. Yeah, I gave it a bit of a hard time when I watched it, but it was actually quite a good episode. Some good mystery, some good twists, some good scary moments, like when she discovered that they were both after her. I had a good time. I really liked this episode. I'm excited to rewatch it at some point to appreciate it a bit more. But yeah, for 12th place, I've gone for Nightmare Inn. Pretty good episode of season 1 of The Haunting Hour. 11th place, the one that I know is going to be controversial for a lot of people, because I know a lot of people don't really like this episode. I chose Alien Candy. Now initially, when I watched it, I thought this was going to be higher. But again, I think some of the comments did get into my brain a little bit, and upon reflection, some of it was a bit cheesy. But I did like the fact that it took it to quite a dark place. These aliens showed up, and they ate this guy's foot, or at least part of this guy's foot. And that is creepy, right? That's really creepy. Again, it felt like a very R.L. Stein episode. Kid in school, these people approach him. They're not what they seem to be. He starts to get on board with it, realises something going wrong, tries to stop it. I got vibes of elements of Calling All Creeps and other Goosebumps ones. It's a very typical R.L. Stein trope, and I loved it for that. I liked the alien characters. I liked the main guy. I thought he was great. And I did enjoy the twist with the aliens. The final bit with the jelly and the chicken nuggets was a little hard to get into because it was just a bit gross. And I can see why people didn't like it because it was a bit cheesy. I had a good time with it. The needle in the foot was gross, and the chomping on the foot was gross. But I like that they took it to that sort of level. But yeah, cheesy episode. I had a great time with it. I enjoyed it. But I can see on the most part why people probably didn't like it too much. But I thought it was a really good episode. That's why it came in about the halfway point of this ranking. In 10th place, I have gone for The Wrong Number. This is the first one that's going out when I record it that hasn't been uploaded to YouTube yet, so I don't know your opinion. But I know from comments last week, people were excited about the Debbie Ryan episode. So I'm presuming she's someone that's famous that I've never watched her in anything else. I liked this episode. It was really good. It was an interesting perspective following the bully characters as opposed to the nice characters for a change. And I like the fact that they got their comeuppance at the end of it. I would have put this a bit higher, but purely because you're following the bully characters. I was frustrated watching this as someone that was bullied. I like what they were doing, but just it was a trigger for me, and that's why I couldn't put it any higher. Watching her bully people at school, like the goth girl, bully the neighbour who's done nothing wrong, was really good, but just triggered me a little bit, so I had to put it a little bit lower. But the spells were cool, the neighbour that was a witch was cool. I like the fact that it all pieced together. The goth at school, the bullied character, was one of her family members, and that they were setting her all up to get, revenge on her. And that they did show that there's a character who was a bit of a follower. She got away at the end of it, and she wasn't as bad as she appeared to be. I actually really liked it. I liked the creepiness at parts, and the fact that it all became clear that she was a bad guy and she wasn't going to get away with this. She was going to get taught a lesson. That was really good. But yeah, in 10th place, I've gone for The Wrong Number. Okay, number 9, I've chosen episode, I think it's around 13, 12, Black Mask. If you wrote this down on a piece of paper about this episode, I wouldn't put this anywhere near the top because it's not scary at all. And I usually love scary episodes. That's normally what I go for. That's my jam. It's not scary at all. There's no really bad guys in this episode at all. It's just a fun episode about a mask that shows you, well, we thought it was the past, turns out it was the future, and it's all to try and save someone's life. We thought it was the kids' lives, turned out it was the handyman's. Not scary, no creepy elements, just, I guess another creepy element. When you saw the handyman in the visions, it seemed like he was a criminal or a bad guy or a villain trying to stop them. Turns out he was the one they were trying to save. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really well crafted episode. The clues that were peppered throughout were really strong and it made sense as a whole. The twist was really good, and when you rewatch it, it all makes perfect sense. So I really enjoyed that. I like the characters, I like the twist, I like the elements of the mask. And I actually thought it was a really good episode. I'm excited to rewatch it, to see how it all plays out, knowing the twist at the end. I thought it was really good, and I really enjoyed Black Mask. In 8th place, I went for episode 20, The Perfect Brother. Another episode I felt was very, very R.L. Stine. It did give me vibes of The Perfect School, a Goosebumps episode. And it revolved around a boy who discovered that his brother was a robot. And not just that, everyone else was a robot, and he was the only one that wasn't a robot. Also got vibes of a lot of R.L. Stine stuff. As I mentioned in the episode, My Best Friend is Invisible, that kind of twist, and other things where it turns out the main characters are not what they appear to be, Shocker on Shock Street, all those kind of things. I had a great time. I thought this was really dark, really deep, and because it felt so R.L. Stine, I was really invested. It made me feel like a kid again. It just gave me that nostalgic feeling for sitting in bed, in the dark, with a lamp on, reading a Goosebumps book, where a kid finds out that his whole life is not what it appears to be. And so I loved it. I could see myself even putting it a bit higher than this, but I did really enjoy this episode. I thought the twists were great, the acting was good, the parents were annoying, but that's Goosebumps and R.L. Stine for you. And yeah, I thought it was a really strong episode with the experiments, the lab setting, the world-changing twist for this boy. I felt really sorry for the guy, but I thought it was a really, really strong episode of the show. Okay, this episode I feel like some people might put a little bit higher, and I've gone for The Dead Body. This was fun. The boy was being bullied at school, met someone who said they could help him. Turns out that boy died years ago and was helping him so they could switch places. And whilst I haven't watched the sequel yet, because you guys have told me in one of the later seasons there's a sequel to it, because there was such a fan kind of outrage that this really nice kid who was being bullied was then put into a really dark ending where he was trapped in the past in a fire and died and is now a ghost. So I know because of this it's probably a fan favourite and some people have it in like the top 3. But for me, whilst I loved the ending, it was super dark and I liked the twist. The episode itself was a little slow for me throughout. The first half was a little slow to get going. It was very clear that the boy who was helping him was up to no good. The guy that looked like Danny from Grease. And I wish that the boy had seen that. But again, this is purely me watching it as an adult. As a kid, maybe I would have done differently. But yeah, I really like that twist. It was so dark, and I'm excited to see where they take it. I can only presume that because they made a sequel because of the outcry from fans, that the sequel is going to focus on him getting his body back, and hopefully he will. What I thought would have been cooler is if they'd made it such a twist that he was a villain, because obviously I think most of us watching it probably would have gone, okay, he's up to no good. And then it made him likeable, and more of a friendly character. And it was such a shock that he was a bad guy. I think that would have worked a lot better for this episode. But that was The Dead Body. Alright, in 6th place, I am biased, really biased when I put this here. I've gone for A Creature Was Staring. Now, on hindsight, probably not the strongest episode of the TV show. But as soon as it's a Christmas episode, it's going near my top episodes because I love Christmas. I love everything about it. It makes me so heartwarming when I watched the Christmas trees, the presents, the music. I love that kind of stuff. But like I say, the characters on the most part weren't overly likeable. The main kid was really cute, really sweet, and I felt so bad for him because the parents were arguing and they weren't great parents. They were letting the brother and sister be really unruly on like Christmas Day. They were all having a bad day and arguments and stuff, and it was really hard to watch. It was nice to watch them as a family come together throughout the episode. The bad guy was a little bit silly but fun to watch. I think it might have worked better if it was like an evil, say, elf, but like a typical vision of what we have as an elf, maybe dressed in a Santa elf costume. But it was like, oh, it's like an elf, that's so cute. But actually evil. I think that could have worked better than this random flying monster. But it was good to watch them come together as a family and work together to save the day, or survive the day at least, because they didn't really save the day, they just got out of the house, and that was the end of it. The ending was hard to swallow. The house burnt down, and the kid was like, it's the best Christmas ever. Now, bear with me. I know this is a kids show. I know this was a message for kids. And it is a good message that it's all about just being close with your family. And the fact that they're now family and close again and love each other and help each other get through this is beautiful. I just wish they hadn't burnt down the home and acted like that was all fine. But it was a really nice message, really good Christmas episode. I could have done without the Santa in the end, in the limo. But whatever. I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. And it was really heartwarming because it was Christmas. And like a lot of Christmas stuff, it's all about being a family, being there for each other. I love it. Creature Was Stirring, episode 3 of The Haunted Hour. Okay, 5th place I've gone for Afraid of Clowns. Really creepy episode. Really creepy. Like I said at the time, I'm not afraid of clowns as a concept. If a clown was stood next to me right now, just doing his magic, whatever, it wouldn't bother me at all. But creepy clowns are a different matter. Pennywise and the clowns from this episode were really creepy. The way they were intimidating the boy, appearing all the time, chasing after him, and even the ones in the circus were just dark. I thought this was going to be in my top 3 because I really enjoyed it. I really loved the performance by the main guy. I liked his relationship with the girl, the cuteness of them falling for each other, but asking each other out on a date, but it being a bit awkward, all that kind of stuff. I was really on board with. I like the fact that I could tell there was a twist coming. Where I didn't put it in my top 3 in the end, I moved it down a bit, was just because I didn't really like the twist that he was a clown, and how they went about it. It could have been okay, because I kind of guessed that he was going to be a clown, because they were hammering home the fact that your body's changing, something's going to happen to you. Okay, fine. But why I think that I didn't like it too much was purely because the way they executed it was odd, because it was all came across really threatening. Like, they dragged him out of the audience into that box, locked him in, turned it round, he turned to a clown, and when he was in the back room, they were all like crowding around him, like laughing, ha ha! Like, this guy's just had his mind blown, his whole world view changed. Why were they not just like, okay, it's okay, just sit down, let's talk about it, let's explain what's going on. I mean, the parents tried to do that a little bit, but they're all like gathering around him, creeping around him, surrounding him, and it felt like they was doing a bad thing, when it was just like, he was becoming part of who he was meant to be, a clown. But I felt like the end was executed really weirdly. But the creepiness throughout the episode was really strong, and I could see why people find this episode really creepy. And I thought the clowns were really good, really well acted. Love the characters. But yeah, that was Afraid of Clowns. Wish I would have put it higher, but just that ended a little twist. It's done a little bit better. Could have been higher, but just was a little sour note. But I love that episode. Really strong, really creepy moments. Number 4, almost at the top 3, I went for Scary Mary. I would have put this in the top 3 because I thought that second part was really creepy. Some of the creepiest stuff in this entire season. I was down for putting this in like 2nd place, maybe 3rd place. The reason I put it lower was because that first episode of the 2-parter wasn't that exciting for me. It had some good creepy moments, but it was just like repetitive. Scary Mary appearing in the mirror going, you know, like it was the same thing over and over again. To the point where I was getting a bit annoyed with the episode. I was like, I get it. She's in the mirror or she's in the glass, whatever. She's following the girl, Hannah. Just tell me what's going on, please. I wish I would have done something a bit different with the first episode, but I liked the main characters. I thought they were really good. The second episode, though, God, that was creepy. That was some genuinely scary stuff that I found really well done. The masked girls, Scary Mary in the bridal dress, she changed their faces, she stole their faces, and they were the fact they were going to steal her face. Oh, I thought that was so good, really good. I loved it. It genuinely creeped me out. So I'm excited to see what you guys think of it. It's an episode that really stuck with me after watching it because the masked girls, how genuinely scared I was of them. Being dragged through the mirror into another universe where you're trapped and going to have your face ripped off so that this girl's going to be beautiful and attract a man, but it was never going to happen, and how the boy saved the day. Yeah, really good, really strong second part. If the first episode was as scary and as great as the second part, I would have thought this would have been an incredible episode of the show. Incredible 2-parter, really strong ending, love the second part. I thought that was some really, really scary stuff, which is why it's so high on my list. Alright, on to my top 3. Let me know down below in the comments how much you disagree with my opinion so far, and if you think some of the ones that I've put down below should be in the top 3 in your list. I'm excited to see the difference of opinion because I know how different mine is to a lot of people's. Don't worry, I'm not blind to that. But on to the top 3. In 3rd place, I've chosen Fear Never Knocks. I think a lot of people would have put this at number 1. This episode, for me, was purely great because of Christopher Heyerdahl. All the stuff before it was enjoyable. It was good. I like the acting. I like the fears coming to life. I like the box that brought these fears out. And the idea that, you can talk into it and it traps your fear, so you're not scared anymore, but your fear can be released. It was quite cool. So whilst I thought it was good, I wasn't like, oh my god, this is an incredible episode, until Christopher Heyerdahl showed up as Fear, and my god, he is an incredible actor. The few things I've seen him in, like A You Fear in the Dark, he's always a standout actor. He's great. He's so creepy, so unique in the way he moves his mouth, the way he moves his face. He really sells the character, and I really bought into the fact that he was Fear. I could literally watch him do 5 more episodes as the same character, because he was really menacing, really creepy, and I loved his performance, and he made that episode really great. I wish he was in it from the start. I don't know how that would have worked, story-wise, narrative-wise, but I loved him. He was brilliant. I would love Christopher Heyerdahl to be in more episodes of the show, but I don't think he is, because you haven't told me that in the comments. But he made the episode great for me. Good episode overall. I like the fears, and the ending note was really cool about the fact that whilst he was trapped and gone, technically, she was still scared of what was in the closet, so that shows that Fear actually hasn't gone anywhere. Yeah, that was really good. I'm excited to rewatch that at some point, because he was so good. The idea was really good. Really strong episode, and I loved that episode. That was so good. In second place, I went for Catching Cold. This episode was so fun. There was some bright colours, and I think what it is most of us, I think, can relate to the fact that when the ice cream truck came round as a kid, it was a really exciting moment. I remember certain times when you'd hear the it was like the ice cream song that most of them play in the UK that's the one that plays that goes by my house at the moment. Whenever that would hit, you'd hear that, you'd run to grab some change off your parents, run out to get an ice cream when it was warm, and it was just such an exciting moment. So it really hit a note in my heart that is nostalgic and why I love this show, when it makes me feel like a kid again, and it really did that for me, as well as being really creepy. And what is this ice cream truck? Why is it following this kid? Why can only he see it? Why is he so obsessed with these ice creams? On paper, if you told me it's an episode where a boy chases an ice cream truck because he really wants some ice cream, I would have been like, alright, okay. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this episode, but it was really well done. Creepy at parts, funny at parts, and I do still believe that it was a take on addiction and that kind of stuff, because all the traits of being obsessed with it, pushing your friends away, stealing money to get what you want, to fix your habits, doing everything you can, so staying out at night, lying to people, all that kind of stuff. It was really well done. And I'm glad that he finally got into the truck. I was super excited to see what it was. I want to know more about that truck. I really want to know more. Like, who controls it? Is it just a haunted truck? Did someone die in that truck years ago and that's why it does what it does? Is there a demon in the truck? I really want to know, but we didn't find out. All we know is that you go in the truck and you're stuck in there until someone else comes in. I think the one little nitpick I have with the episode is I wish I'd have known why it chose certain people to follow. Why was it him? Why was it the main character? Why not the other guy, the friend? Why was it not other people? That's the only thing I wish I'd known more, which I think saved it from the top spot. But genuinely creepy. Love that episode. Funny moments. Great episode. I was thinking about it for days afterwards. It just put a smile on my face. I really enjoyed Catching Cold. Okay, number 1 spot. If you're keeping track, you know exactly which one it is, which is not hard to guess because it's the first episode of the season. Really You, Part 1 and Part 2. Now, the fact that it's my favourite episode, it was the very first episode, it's really interesting to me. They started off so strong. I love this for a multitude of reasons. From the acting, Bailey Madison is an incredible actress. I bought her performance every step of the way, from a little bratty kid that just gets what she wants from the parents because they don't want to say no to her, to someone that's sulking, someone that's getting a bit ostracised by her family a little bit, like particularly the mother, to someone I really, really empathised with. I felt so sorry for her when stuff was going wrong and she was getting really sad and upset and the parents were being really rude to her, particularly the mother. I really bought that. I felt for her. That's what put this episode leagues and above a lot of episodes for me, because whilst I enjoy characters and enjoy performances, there's very few times in a lot of these kids shows where I really care about what happens to these characters, you know? I can enjoy it, I can have a laugh, I can have a great time, I can be scared, but for me to really have a heartfelt moment like, oh my god, I hope she's okay, I hope she gets better, I hope she sorts things out, particularly when she started to turn into the doll, I was like, oh my god, it was something that I don't get very often with these shows, so that straight away was incredible for me. The performances of every character was good. The mum, I bought her obsession with the doll. The dad was a bit douche, but we won't talk about him too much. The brother was a really nice character. I really loved the brother. The fact that he was trying to sort things out. He could see something was wrong that no one else could see. And normally in these R.L. Sandy things, as we always know if you've watched a lot of these shows, read a lot of these books, you know the siblings normally, they don't get on. But so it's so nice to see this brother was trying to save the day. Lily D herself was creepy as hell. Like, so creepy. Really creepy. Again, dolls don't freak me out. Like clowns don't freak me out. Ice cream trucks don't freak me out. But this show does a really good job of making things freaky. And Goosebumps in particular does freaky doll episodes a lot. And this doll was something else. So scary. Really scary to me. I don't want that doll in my house. She was creepy. And I love the way they moved the character. The eyes moved a little bit. The hands moved a little bit. I just genuinely found it scary. And the first episode of the show, they did a really good job of picking what to air first. Because obviously, I don't know what order they filmed these in. But they could have put these episodes in any order, really. But they chose to put this one first. And I'm not surprised because it was creepy as... so creepy. And I loved it. I thought the performances were good. The twists were good. The doll was creepy. The effects of, like, the girl turning into the doll were really well done. There's nothing about this episode that I did not like. And that's where other episodes that were like 2, 3, 4 on my list just missed the top mark. Because every single part of this episode I thought was well done. I loved all of it. I thought it was brilliant. Best episode of the show for me, definitely. Really You, parts 1 and 2. Okay, guys, that was my list of every episode of season 1 of The Haunting Hour, ranked from number 20 to number 1. Let me know down below in the comments how much you agree, don't agree with me, but be polite, be kind, we can all have our own opinion, that's fine. And I'm excited to know what your lists are, or at least what your top episodes are, and what your least favourite episodes of the season are, to see how much we differ in opinion. Alright guys, that's it for series 1 of The Haunting Hour. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought of it. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you watched the last episode, I said to you then that the next thing I'm going to be doing is the next series of Are You Afraid of the Dark before jumping into series 2 of The Haunting Hour. So I hope you enjoy those reactions. As always, my name is Scott. I hope you guys are well, taking care of yourselves and staying safe. Leave some comments down below. Hope you're excited for Are You Afraid of the Dark series 3 and eventually Haunting Hour series 2. Bye guys, take care. I'll see you all very soon for the next episode of The Haunting Hour. Bye guys.